Most people think the reason they can't stick to a hard workout is because they're lazy or they lack motivation. That's a lie you've been fed your whole life. The truth is this: your brain is a survival machine. It hates discomfort, it hates effort, and it will do anything to trick you into staying weak, safe, and average. That's why every time you tell yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," your brain rewards you with relief. It gives you a little dopamine hit for choosing comfort over pain. And slowly, you're being trained, not to win, but to surrender. Now here's the brutal reality. The people who dominate in life, the ones who push through brutal workouts and transform their bodies, they don't have some magical gene you don't. They have discovered a method, whether they know it or not, that forces the brain to obey. And once the brain obeys, the body follows. That's the Lotus Method. The Lotus Method isn't about motivation. Motivation dies the second you feel tired, sore, or uncomfortable. This method is about rewiring your brain so that when it screams, "Stop, this is too hard," you don't listen. Instead, you teach it to associate the pain with growth, the struggle with power, the sweat with dominance. Think about it. A lotus flower grows in the mud, not in clean water. It thrives in filth, in pressure, in the harshest conditions, and that's exactly what you need to train your brain to bloom in the mud of discomfort. Because here's the harsh truth. Your brain will always try to protect you from suffering, but if you let it control you, you'll never achieve anything beyond average. Every rep you skip, every workout you delay, every time you let your thoughts convince you to take it easy, you're training yourself to fail. The Lotus Method flips that script. It brainwashes you into craving the hard path, into seeing resistance as fuel, into forcing your brain to finally submit to your will. And once you master it, workouts stop feeling like punishment. They become proof that you are in control, proof that you are not your excuses, proof that your brain is just a tool, and you are the master. That's how you force yourself to do the workouts that most people avoid. That's how you break free from weakness and start rewriting your identity. So before we dive in, I want you to understand this. The Lotus Method is not about doing an exercise routine. It's about forcing your brain to bend. Because once you've broken your brain's resistance, no workout is ever too hard again. 1. The first pillar, the mud principle, rewiring pain into power. Your brain is built to avoid pain. That's why the moment your muscles start burning in a workout, your brain whispers, "This is dangerous. Stop now." It's the same instinct that once protected your ancestors from predators and starvation. But in the modern world, this instinct makes you weak. Because every rep you avoid, every workout you quit halfway through, you are literally strengthening the neural pathway of quitting. The Lotus Method flips this by using the mud principle. Instead of escaping discomfort, you consciously rewire your brain to see discomfort as growth. When your legs burn during squats, instead of saying, "This hurts, I'm done," you train your brain to say, "This burn is proof. Proof I'm growing, proof I'm separating myself from the lazy." Think of it like this. The lotus flower grows only in muddy, dirty, pressure-filled water. Without that mud, it never blooms. You must convince your brain that the mud, the pain, the struggle, the discomfort isn't your enemy. It's the very soil you need to rise. Every workout then becomes a mental war where pain is not a reason to quit, but a signal that you are exactly where you should be. 2. The second pillar, the friction rule, making resistance automatic. Here's something most people don't realize. Your brain is not logical, it's mechanical. It doesn't care about what you want. It only reacts to what you repeatedly do. If you've trained it to quit when things feel hard, quitting becomes your default setting. If you've trained it to push forward in spite of discomfort, discipline becomes automatic. The friction rule is simple. Remove resistance from starting and add resistance to quitting. If your gym clothes are buried in your closet, your brain already has an excuse. Too much effort, maybe tomorrow. But if your shoes are by your bed and your workout playlist is loaded, you've destroyed that excuse before it even forms. On the flip side, quitting has to feel unnatural. The Lotus Method uses micro-rituals. You don't stop until you complete the number you said out loud. If you told yourself 20 push-ups, you don't walk away at 15 because that would feel like a betrayal. Your brain hates breaking promises, it creates inner conflict. By using this rule, you slowly trap your brain into obeying you instead of sabotaging you. This is how resistance becomes automatic. Not because you feel like it, but because your brain is conditioned to follow through no matter what. 3. The third pillar, identity override, becoming the lotus. Here's the secret that destroys 99% of people. They think workouts are just about the body. They forget the brain is the real battlefield. If your identity is, "I'm the kind of person who struggles to stay consistent," then no matter what program you follow, your brain will sabotage you to protect that identity. The identity override fixes this. You begin by forcing new labels into your mind. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to work out," you say, "I'm a person who thrives on hard workouts." This isn't positive thinking, it's a psychological trap. When you claim an identity, your brain does everything in its power to stay consistent with it. Think of smokers who say, "I'm trying to quit." They fail. But those who say, "I'm not a smoker anymore," they succeed because the brain defends the new identity. So every time you train, you don't just say, "I'm exercising." You tell yourself, "This is who I am. The lotus blooms in the mud. I thrive in the struggle." The more you repeat this, the more your brain rewires itself around this new identity. Workouts stop being a task, and they become a reflection of who you are. 4. Fourth pillar, the lotus lock, never negotiating with the brain. The final step is where most people fail. They negotiate with their brain. They say, "Maybe I'll skip today and go tomorrow," or "I'll just do a little bit instead of the full routine." This is poison, because the second you negotiate, you've already lost. The lotus lock is a rule. Never argue with your brain. Once the decision is made, execution is automatic. You lock it in. No debates, no excuses, no negotiations. When it's workout time, you move. When you feel pain, you push. When your brain screams stop, you smile, because you've trained yourself to bloom in that exact moment. Think about a lotus. Once it begins rising from the mud, it doesn't stop halfway to reconsider. It keeps pushing upward until it blooms. That's the lock. You rise no matter what. By practicing the lotus lock, you eliminate hesitation, which is the brain's #1 weapon against you. Hesitation creates weakness, but immediate action creates momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. So these are the 4 pillars of the lotus method. 1. The mud principle. Turn pain into proof. 2. The friction rule. Make resistance automatic. 3. The identity override. Reprogram who you are. 4. The lotus lock. Never negotiate with weakness. Once you implement this, you're no longer forcing yourself to work out. Your brain is forced to obey you. And when the brain obeys, the body follows. And here's the funny part. After watching this, some of you will close the video, nod your head and think, "Yeah, that was motivating." And then you'll go right back to skipping your workout. Congratulations, you just trained your brain to ignore everything I said. That's the exact trap the lotus method is built to destroy. So here's the challenge. Don't just watch this, lock it in. Comment below with 2 words, lotus mode, on. That's it. It's simple, but it tells your brain that the decision has already been made. And if you're brave enough, tell me the excuse your brain always throws at you. Time, energy, laziness, whatever it is. Put it out there, let everyone see it, and watch how small it looks when it's not inside your head. Because here's the truth. If you can't even type a comment, what chance do you have of pushing through a brutal workout? Don't prove me right, prove me wrong. Drop your comment, lock in the identity, and the next time your brain screams, "Stop," you'll remember this moment. Now the question is, are you going to keep sinking in the mud or finally bloom?